All right. Tripping a little.
Stand 10 toes.
Of your elected officials.
Count my roll. Wrist on froze. Don't check me. Check the hoe. Gotta make sure everything in this shit follow code. Stand 10 toes. Check my goals. Count my roll. Yeah. Don't check me. Check the make sure every nigga in the set follow code. I jumped off the porch and I started a wave. Y'all niggas was stuck in the fish tank. When motherfuckers see me, it's nothing but love. The real niggas know I got beat rank. The reef is potent. My told us they can't wait till I get a big break. Told the bitch I'm a killer. She said I'm minutes. The bitch made me feel like Lorenz Tate. I'm keeping it humble without all the stunting. I'm moving more solid than most niggas. Ain't no type of morals and no type of honor, and that be my problem with most niggas. When I'm with the mafia, collar like those niggas. Ain't looking for cod, don't want no tilapia when I tell niggas I'm going fishing. When I'm back on the hoe, gotta reel it in. And I ain't a nigga, I'm feeling in. Good spirits, bad vibes, number 5, you know that I'm working to this. Go with the minister. Hop on the flight, pull up on finish, you know the sack on me like fuck niggas hate when I say I'm the illest. Talk about you know my purpose. Dog, you know I go hard, but deep in your heart, it be hard to reveal it. Just open your eyes and look how I do it, and maybe one day you can live how I'm living. Stand 10 toes, check my goals, count my roll, wrist on froze. Don't check me, check the hoe. Gotta make sure every nigga in the set follow code. Stand 10 toes, check my goals.
All right. Enough of that. Let me shut this down real quick. I was trying to send out a link to my partner in case he wanted to call in. Hey, look, I want to welcome you to another Pay Me No Mind sports and entertainment live stream. My name is Wood. You know me. Look, appreciate all the new the new subscribers lately, and all the feedback. You know, any engagement with the channel is much appreciated. Getting ready to get in some Washington football team talk with a special guest. I'm very grateful to this brother to give me some time and come on here and help me, because I'm not I told you before, I'm not an football guy. I'm just pretty much, a stan of the team, and I love, football. So we'll get it in, but I want to welcome Kourey Evans. What's good, man?
What's good, Wood? Peace, world. What's up, everybody?
I appreciate you being on here, man. I appreciate you being on here.
No doubt.
So anyway, man, Kourey, I was thinking earlier, I'm like, when did I meet the man? Didn't you check onto the channel for a TV show or something, maybe like 2 years ago or something?
It was Bosch, brother.
Bosch. That's
Amazon Prime.
Bosch. I was thinking it was Counterpoint, and I was like, that don't seem right. Oh yeah, it was Bosch. It was Bosch. Oh,
it was Bosch.
We kindred spirits then, if you like Bosch.
Hey, I say this brother got some good taste. He a Redskins fan and he a Bosch fan.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I'm glad you reminded me of Bosch.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I think COVID kind of messed everything up with production, because last I checked, they were supposed to be coming with another. I think it's season 7.
Yeah, that's gonna be the final one.
So yeah, I think the COVID situation then threw it off a little bit as far as when they're going to release it, or even if they finish filming it,
Right.
So we'll just wait and see. Like everything else, patience is a virtue.
Exactly. So like I said, Kourey, we just started linking up on here, and I see names pop up from time to time, and gradually I'll start picking up on. I don't look at it as fans, subscribers, man, just people that kind of dig the vibe. And I saw the name a couple times, and we exchanged some thoughts and whatnot, and been building the last year or two, like he just said. So anyway, he's been coming on, clicking on and talking about some of the boxing coverage that I do on here. And then also, when I was doing a couple of Washington football team updates over the last year or two, he commented on that. I picked up on, he's a fan of the team. And then we've just been checking in here and there. And then obviously this season we had good stuff to talk about since the team overachieved
The roller coaster ride.
Yeah, it was a roller coaster ride, but in the end, they overachieved.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
I was digging what the brother was saying as far as, just knowledge of the team, different filling in the gaps that I have and how I talk about things. So I wanted to get him. He asked me, was I going to do a year-end show? And I hadn't really planned on it, but I thought it was a great idea. And then if he was willing to come on and chop it up with me about it, that's even better. So we linked up for tonight, and here we go. Kourey, you want to tell folks, kind of a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, well, I'm just your average sports fan. I just follow my team. I would say like a lot of people do. I'm always a sports radio guy. I keep up with the pulse. I try to keep up with the numbers for the most part. You know what I mean? Just follow. I like to say I look at football like most guys that had a little bit of playing in high school. You know what I mean? We live in our dreams vicariously through these young brothers that's out there doing their thing. And, especially in a situation where our team is now, where we finally got some stability, as far as the leadership of the team. And you take that part of it and you add on some young, hungry football players. You know what I mean? Guys, it's all about ball. And I think we got something on our hands, man, that if we be patient and don't jump the gun with all this stuff that's going on ESPN as far as like all these big profile guys, these high number guys, if we stay the course, which I think we got the leadership that's going to keep us staying the course, I think we might be able to do something special in a couple of years, man.
Got you. Now, anybody that's checked the channel before, you know that I'm located in Dayton, Ohio. But I was born in D.C. and then grew up in at the Air Force Base in Virginia. So that's kind of my connection to the team.
Yeah, I'm down here south of Richmond.
There, right?
Yeah, I'm like 15, 20 minutes away from the new training camp facility we got.
Okay.
But it ain't new anymore. You know what I mean? It's a hop, skip, and a jump. I'm right there at training camp.
What's your earliest recollection with, becoming a fan of the team or, selecting them as your team?
Man, I got three older brothers. I got a sister. I got three older brothers. So one of my brothers, the one that used to irk my nerves the most, you know what I mean? He was the babysitter. He was a diehard Dallas Cowboys fan. And I always noticed, like, coming up, if he liked blue, I like black. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. I always wanted to go opposite of my brother. So he was a diehard Cowboys fan. So I obviously went with the Redskins. And I noticed how every time football was on, it was always the Cowboys was on TV. I'm talking about like the late 80s, early 90s. You know what I mean? I'm like, wow, this is the only team I'm seeing on TV. And he's loving it. And also tell us go wash them dishes and clean up and stuff. I'm like, man, whatever. I ain't rocking with them guys. And then the first thing I remember before I was actually seeing the football team was back when I think it was that Super Bowl when they beat Buffalo.
Okay.
I think my parents had like a little Super Bowl party. And I've been rocking with them ever since. But when I actually started learning the game and understanding the game, that's when Joe Gibbs' second stint.
Okay.
When we had LeVar Arrington, when we had Washington, when we had
I was at just quickly, and we'll get into some questions. But quickly for me, my father from Pennsylvania was a Steelers fan, and I was working with the Steelers. And then, I asked him why did he like the Steelers. He said because that's where he was born. He grew up in Milton, Pennsylvania, and Harrisburg. And so when I put two and two together, like, well, I was born in D.C., I'm rocking with my team. And I think I really hurt my dad's feelings when I walked away from the black and gold unknowingly. And, but I think he took that a little personal. But, I guess he respected, me for wanting to be an individual and whatnot. And it was what it was. But, yeah. And at the time, I'm going to be honest with you, I probably didn't even make the connection that even though I knew I was born in D.C., I probably still for a season thought at that time the Redskins was in the state of Washington.
Right.
But anyway, let's get into it, man. I told you we had a couple of questions. Anybody that's checking out the live stream, I got a few questions. We're going to recap the season a little bit, talk some draft stuff, kind of keep it really casual. If you want to call in, say something in the live chat, let me get into a couple of questions. I'll put the number up there, and I can let you get in. Let me open this app really quickly, just in case anybody does want to. And you can call in and speak your piece. But like I said, let me get through at least 2 or 3 questions, and then we'll go from there. Working a couple of different things, so bear with me. So anyway, like I told you, the first thing was just, man, what was your assessment of year one with Coach Rivera and staff, and your thoughts on that?
I think this year revealed a lot about, what type of coach we got, the nucleus of this team, you know what I'm saying, as far as personnel wise and coaching. Because if you look at it from, well, let's just start with Rivera. Rivera showed me that he is not going to sacrifice the efforts of the collective to, for the individual. Speaking on the quarterback situation. Now, that could have been a situation where, okay, we got a first round pick, let's let him grow and all this. Well, what people seem to, miss with that is you got a whole 52 other guys on that squad. You got some older guys. You got some guys that's been in the league for a couple of years. These guys want to play for something. That's not to say every team, every player is on the level to sit there and get on a soapbox and say, well, tired of losing. No, but them guys want to know when they go to work on Monday morning that they're doing it for a reason. And we're not just here waiting to baby or waiting for this one individual for it to click for him. And what he showed me with the moves he made and, having the foresight to see what's going on around them in our division to, hey, let's change course here. I don't see nothing wrong with that at all. You know what I mean? I think that's a person in charge taking an opportunity, you know what I mean, to progress the growth of a team faster than what may have been projected, especially with COVID. You're going into this with basically not with a training camp, with no rookie minis, and you got an opportunity to get these young guys some playoff game experience. And not even that, you playing well into the end of the year. We've been fans of this team for a while. Them last 3-4 games, it is what it is. But you take this year, every game was them guys growing and learning like, yo, this is what it's going to take to finish out a season. This is what it's going to take to win a division. This is what it's going to take to be in contention. And I think going into next year, I think we're going to have top 5, one of the youngest teams in the league.
Okay.
With a playoff game. Okay. With a division championship under their belt. So I think that's big. I think the coach sitting back and changing course mid-season was big.
That probably was underrated. And probably because nobody really was even checking for us this year, So anything
I think the media looked at it in a negative light.
Right, exactly. So what was your expectation with him being selected to coach? Because if you caught any of my videos ahead of time, I was willing to work with him, but I did mention, if you take away the 15-1 season, he was basically a 500 coach, give or take a few games. But what I did like was coming from that NFC South, he'd been used to high scoring offenses with the Saints and with Tampa Bay in some years. Who's the other team down there? Drawn up. The Saints.
Bucks, Atlanta.
Maybe more so the Saints in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So I thought that was good coming from a competitive division. And then, obviously I liked that it seemed like he was willing to let the offensive coordinator do his thing on that side of the ball. And I like that he seemed to be able to, they were able to score points. One thing that's been hampering us the last couple of years was not being able to score over 20 points. And him having to compete down there, he was regularly having to get up into the mid 30s to have a shot at winning.
Yeah.
And then lastly, like I said, it seemed like everything wasn't perfect, but the team chemistry, it always seemed like they used the weapons to the best to get the best results of those weapons. So I was optimistic. And then, like you said, I did get a little shaky with him as I saw some of the initial handling with Haskins. But what you just pointed out, once he did become aware of, hey, we can turn this thing around and make a run, I had to let him do it. You know, that's what he gets paid for.
Yeah. And if you think about it, even before it goes to, you know, like the division he played in, you know, when the team said that was going to be the hire, I looked at some of his former players, like we had Josh Norman on the roster. And I looked at what he said. Josh Norman wasn't, his basically thing said, I respect Ron Rivera. He didn't say, oh, he's a great guy or he's a player's coach. No, he said, I respect Ron Rivera. You know, he said, I run basically everything that every former player or somebody that worked with him has said. And now that you're hearing from this team, basically that I love them, I'll run through a brick wall for them, things of that nature. You know what I mean? Because you think about it, this is the NFL, dog. All these guys got talent.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like I'm pretty sure with boxing. All these guys got talent. It's just about, do you believe in your leadership? Do you believe in the message that's being presented to you? Which in turn helps you believe in yourself, your own abilities. You know what I mean? That's really the only thing separating a lot of these squads. You know what I mean? And you can't tell me looking at this season how many games that we may have lost them, but the way we lost them the year before is totally different from the way that we lost them this year. And the games that we won, we would have lost as well. That comes from leadership. That comes from belief in leadership. That comes from, which in turn has belief, the players believing in themselves.
Yeah, I definitely thought that was something that jumped off the screen to me quickly. And I thought he would be like just his coaching presence, that leadership and creating that chemistry. I thought it was going to be like +2 games. You know, they say some coaches, you know, earn you a win or two just from the way that they coached. And like you said, coming out of the John Gruden era, I felt like I just felt like his last 2 or 3 years was just a disaster. And, you know, it was time to move on. But like you said, I saw this year the team was more resilient.
Yeah. And be honest, Rivera lost us a couple games. I know for sure he lost us that, but you got to take it in the context of he's trying to see, you know, where we are and who he has on that roster. What type of guys do I have? You know, this isn't a second, third year, fourth year coach going out there and making decisions like that. This is a first year coach that knows that he has the stability in the organization to actually build his team. And basically, like, not having that offseason, he's basically building it on the fly.
Right.
You know what I mean? So no one knew that Dak Prescott was going to break his leg, and no one knew Philly was going to turn into a dumpster fire. You know what I mean? So he was going in this season, let's see where we are, see what we got. But when he saw the opportunity, you saw some of them decisions started to get a little more reined in.
Right.
Especially when things were out of our control, like quarterback situation and stuff like that.
Let me go back. I know I got a little long with what I was saying, but what was your expectations once the season started? Knowing, you know, shortened training camp and COVID impact and all of that, but what was your expectations going into it?
They weren't high. They were hopeful. See, I'm the type of fan that, you know, we've been down for so long. I try to find the wins within the game or within the season. So I just wanted to see growth from our young players, you know, and I kind of just wanted to see how the new regime was going to approach it. Or do we got a regime that's just going to ride with all the old guys and, you know what I'm saying, or are we going to have a youth movement, or are we going to have dysfunction? You know what I mean? With the ups and downs, you know, because believe it or not, this schedule that we had was pretty favorable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I just wanted to see how they were going to navigate it. And I'm like, if we starting off fresh, let's start off fresh now, because we're 3 of the 4 teams in our division were starting off fresh too. So my thing was, who's going to get it together first?
Right.
You know what I mean?
I did pat myself on the back because I said 7-9, but I said if we could get the 2 games versus the Giants, who was one of those teams that was starting fresh, I was like, if we can split or win, I said we needed to either beat Detroit or I knew it was going to be difficult to beat Arizona, but it was one other team in there early, along with Detroit. I don't know if it was Cincinnati. That might have been a little later, but
Cincinnati was a little later.
Maybe the Browns might have been the 4th or 5th game.
Yeah, it was the Browns.
I think if we could have split with the Browns in Detroit and then split with those 2, because we played the Giants twice in 3 games. And I was like, if we can get a combination of 2 games out of that, I think we can make 9 and 7. And we lost to both of the Browns and Detroit on some last minute stuff, and then dropped both games to the Giants. And we ended up at 7-9. But like you said, my second key thing was just who's going to be the leader of the team and who's going to be the guy that we start seeing popping up on the talk shows representing the Washington team nationally. Like, this is a reason to tune in to the team. And over the last, since RG3 went down, we really hadn't had anybody, that would pop up on nobody wanted to talk to none of those guys.
Yeah.
And we've been having.
Yeah.
And
we were an afterthought.
Exactly. And once Chase Young started emerging as what he is and being vocal and holding guys accountable, talking trash, and he just became that leader that we needed. So like you said, I guess you've kind of alluded to a couple of thoughts on Haskins. Obviously, man, I was rooting for the kid. Even if I wasn't rooting for him personally, I was rooting for that 15th spot, that draft pick that we used to bring him in, and at least wanted to salvage something from that. But he just didn't really give us much to work with. And I understand the training camp situation, new coaching staff, new system, etc. I understand all of that, but just football becomes a game. The NFL, you have to produce, and whatever.
It's a production-based business.
Yeah, he couldn't get anything done. So when that situation started to unravel, what did you think about how that was handled?
Yeah, well, first of all, I was rooting for him too. I didn't expect for him to be there when it came for us time for the draft him. So I was excited to get him. But, a lot of things, especially going into year 2, started to rear his ugly head. And in his defense, out of all the players that were on the roster at the beginning of the year, I think he was the main one that really needed that training camp. I think he really needed that training camp because we know that he has the arm, but he has awful feet and awful eyes, man. You know what I mean? If you go back and look at some of those games and just pocket presence, pocket awareness. Now, granted, those are all things that can be fixed, so that's why you got to hold management accountable for taking him at that pick, because the Giants didn't, and everybody thought that, but the Giants saw what we've all seen, you know what I mean? And now moving forward, Pittsburgh may be the beneficiary of our mistake, because they may be able to put that young brother in a position to give him time to work on those things. Now him working on himself, that's outside of football. I'm not going to sit and bash a young brother for being young and being thrown a bunch of money. We don't know what his circle look like. You know what I'm saying? Just hopefully he get it together and take these life lessons and look at the blessing that he's got these life lessons while he's young. And he has another opportunity. What a great organization. You know what I mean? But for us, he just wasn't prepared. I think the change in, like we've done with a lot of young quarterbacks, the changing of regimes, the changing of offenses, you know what I mean? The not having that consistency, not having that true belief in quarterbacks because of the change of regimes. I think he fell victim of that too. And hopefully moving forward, that will change. You know what I mean?
And it's a tough fan base, man, because at the first sign of struggle or lack of production or anything, we just start it's just a feeding frenzy or something, man.
Hey,
It's messy.
Hey man, we kind of like I can't think of what it's called, but you know, we got one of them syndromes, you know, where if something happened, we go right back to, oh man, the world, you know what I mean? The world about to sky's falling. Same thing with our players, with our potential star players. We see one little crack, you know, we're like, oh, bust, because we're so used to it. You know, I think that's changed a little bit.
Yeah, like I said,
I think that changed with the guy you got behind you.
Yeah,
he different.
Yeah, he was when dudes was coming off the field, or the offense was coming off the field. I felt like when the offense was coming off the field, they felt like they owed him something. Like, man, we ain't trying to walk by him with, you know, bad news or not being prepared. And I think that's later in the season. You know, you saw him and even Terry McLaurin, who worked hard to turn himself into what he's become. He was just projected to be a special teams guy and maybe a number 3 and, you know, whatever. A man come in over delivering. And eventually, I think you saw both of those former, Buckeyes teammates kind of turn their back on that dude. Like, I don't know what's going on with him, but we moving forward, and we don't really have time to.
I wouldn't say that it's a matter of turning their back on them. I think it's more of a matter that, you know, they realize that they're grown men. You know what I mean? And when you looking at somebody that's going through, it's only so much you can do to help somebody, you know, especially with if the issues they're having are self-inflicted. Sometimes you guys got to give people space to grow.
Right.
And you can't hinder your growth trying to help some, you know what I mean? And I think them young brothers, I think them 2 young brothers got some strong circles, especially Terry McLaurin. You know what I mean? Especially being a 3rd, 4th option all through college, to keep that focus, like, you know, this is what I want to do. That takes a strong team. And the same thing with Chase. You know, I'm pretty sure he got a strong team behind him too. You know what I'm saying? We don't know what Dwayne's situation is because you can hear certain things. All that speculation stuff about, you know, the off the field stuff, unless it's something that's, you know, concrete evidence, like pictures with the tail in your face. You know what I'm saying? I don't really buy into it, but you can see it. All the other stuff don't matter. What happens on the field, you can see it reflects on the field.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I don't even get into all the, you know, the first take garbage. You know what I'm saying? What happens on the field reflects what's pretty much going on in the person. You can tell if that person got their stuff together.
Yeah. And I think, like you said, when he squandered that playoff game and really when he came in for the half of the game the week before,
the brother was on the sideline praying.
Exactly.
Please don't let me blow up for these guys.
Exactly.
I'm like, bruh, is that real?
Right. And like you said, it's a production game. And it just, he just didn't bring a whole lot to the table this year, man. And even after spending several weeks, you know, in that 3rd quarterback slot or off the roster, like you said, it looked like what we got on the field was just like, man, you're not retaining anything, you're not improving, you're not showing any growth. And like you said, there's other 52 men in here, man. And what's on the, because once you committed to making the playoffs and moving away from those top 5 draft picks,
you got to go all in.
Yeah, you got to go all in, and we can't waste any more time with you. So, like you mentioned, man, I think going to the Steelers, it's sad, man, but they might benefit from our mistakes. And I would imagine that Ben is going to come back for one more year, and I think he has a $40-some million contract or something. So I would imagine he's going to pick that up on the way out the door.
I just saw something that on ESPN that said that Ben's more than willing to restructure his contract to help with their cap situation.
Yeah, and they got problems.
Yeah,
these guys all over the place. We'll get into
which is good for Ben too. Ain't nothing wrong restructuring. That just means you getting a check for the next 5 years.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So let's look ahead a little bit though. You know, what do you think is the most pressing offseason issue or concern or, you know, thing that needs to be addressed?
I think we got a couple. First and foremost, the quarterback situation. The quarterback situation. I think I wouldn't say pressing, but it has the potential to be pressing if we do not re-sign Brandon Scherff, the offensive line.
Yeah.
If we re-sign Brandon Scherff, I wouldn't call it a pressing issue because I think we can get into the position by position what I think of them, but middle linebacker is an issue.
Ain't it?
Middle linebacker is an issue. That middle of the field, our inability to cover tight ends across the middle has cost us. I'm shocked and surprised that we still had a top 5, top 10 defense this year with our inability to cover that part of the field. You know what I mean? And we got some issues at safety. You know what I mean? But we got some hope back there too with Reeves and Everett. They're not your big time guys, but hey, you don't need a big time guy at every position to have a great unit.
Not at all.
Because it's a lot of units that have a lot of big time guys that's underachieving. You know what I mean? And underachieving is looked upon as totally different when you got a bunch of big time guys. So sometimes on some positions you're going to need some guys to play above their pay grade. You know what I mean? And it's up to the coaches to coach them up and put them in position to do that. But as far as the positions of need, I think quarterback, offensive line, middle linebacker, and some depth in that secondary, good quality depth.
Agreed.
And tight end.
Yeah, it's crazy because my man was it Logan.
Yeah, Logan Thomas.
Logan Thomas.
I got some thoughts about tight end too that a lot of people may not think about, but I be sitting looking at stuff. I be thinking about some things that has the potential to happen that ain't gonna cost the team a lot of money. You know what I mean? Because everybody's thinking about the draft. Everybody's thinking about free agency. A lot of people are not thinking about all these teams that's in these awful cap situations.
Right.
I mean, you got some teams that they're gonna have to cut. There's gonna be some really quality players that's gonna have to be released. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was looking at a list today, and it was quite a few standout names on there. Not a ton of tight ends per se, but a lot of talent is out there right now. And like you said, it's gonna come down to and I would expect Rivera to do a pretty good job with this and the front office guys.
I like their thought process going from last year. If you look at it, Ronald Darby was on a 1-year prove-it deal.
Right.
KPL, Kevin Pierre-Louis out of Chicago was on a 1-year prove-it deal. You know what I mean? And I look at you getting some guys that's right there in their career where they're looking at trying to get that last contract. These guys got something to play for. You know what I mean? So, but the caveat of that is you got some guys like Ronald Darby. Okay, you gave him that 1-year prove-it deal. Now you got to step up and lock these guys up for at least 2-3 years. But not no crazy contract, but you got to pay them what they're due. And we're in a cap situation where we can do that. We're not going to overpay anybody, but you look at potential free agents and you look at guys that's looking at the potential to be cut, to look at Washington as a position where, hey, they got a situation where you look at how they did their veteran guys last year. They gave them adequate compensation on a 1-year deal, and if things work out, and plus I just want to play for a solid team like that. If I can't break the bank, you know what I mean? We used to be the team where the old veterans would come to break the bank. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna hate on nobody to go somewhere else and do that, but let the chips fall. Let all these big numbers go, and then we'll get our plug and play guys. Guys that fit our scheme. That's not necessarily your big names.
And that's the dope thing about football, the NFL, is that you can rebuild like that. Even like you said, we don't necessarily need a Pro Bowl or All-Pro quarterback to bring in to try to be successful. I mean, you take a run at some of the guys and run the numbers and see how they fit and blah, blah, blah. But you don't necessarily need, like I said, you don't need a $38 million, $40 million guy back there if the rest of the team is solid. But staying right there, what do you think is the most viable solution? Let's stay with the quarterback, because that's something that we're gonna have to address, and that's where most teams it's the cornerstone of the team. So what do you think is the best way to go forward? What would you like to see happen in that spot?
Well, I think first and foremost, the first thing we got to realize is that Alex Smith is the only quarterback we have on this roster that's signed to a contract. That's first and foremost.
Facts.
So the first thing we got to do is look at Heineke and Allen and approach them with some contracts, with letting them know that, hey, there may be a competition, there may not be a competition, but we want you guys have shown us that your knowledge of our offense, we want y'all part of this team. Check free agency, do what you got to do. If the numbers ain't right, or if they equal or whatever, come back to Washington, be a part of this team. You know what I mean? Sign Kyle Allen to a 1-2 year, $3 million deal, whatever the baseline for a quarterback, backup quarterback is. And the same thing with Heineke. And then you got to make that decision. And let us tell it. We all kind of know what that decision is going to with Alex Smith. You know what I mean? His inability to finish a season based off of something that's not going to get any better. That leg's not going to get any better.
No.
It might be time to hang it up. And the cap hit ramifications from releasing him. We already know what's going to happen there. But then, like you say, you take your shot. You take your shot with a Watson. You take a shot with a Stafford. Me personally, I don't think it's going to happen, because I don't think we have the coaching staff or the front office is going to mortgage our future for one guy, and because I don't think that's what it's going to take. Now, if you a first round pick away from the conversation going our way on a Matt Stafford or something, of course you're going to pull the trigger, because we already know Ron Rivera is going to go. Look at the what's the quarterback from Dallas, Amari Cooper. He was ready to break the bank last year to get him.
Right.
So he knows who's elite, and he's going to give his team opportunity to get an elite guy. But he's not going. There's only so far he's going to go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's going to be competitive, but he's not going to, jump off the cliff for one guy. You know what I mean? So
I guess realistically,
to answer your question, I got all, but I don't think we're at that level. I don't think we have the draft capital or the financial capital to be at that top tier level, because everybody wants Deshaun Watson, but after this year, they're not going to want that $37 million cap hit. You know what I mean? Everybody wants Matthew Stafford, because not only is he a good player, but that $23 million for the next 2 years is cool. That's cool. But it's another level of, you got your Ryan Fitzpatrick's, you know what I'm saying? You got this other level, Jameis Winston's, you kind of got to wait. I think it's going to be like a domino effect. We got to see what happened with Watson, see what happened with Stafford, because if Stafford wants to go to the 49ers, you got a Garoppolo out there. Then Garoppolo, goes here, then Jared Goff moves on, then, it's going to be a domino effect. And I think it's the teams that are going to be patient and steadfast are going to end up with some quality players at all these different positions, especially quarterback, that, and you think about it, Kyle Allen gave us some good time on the field before he got hurt. You know what I mean? And I think the team and the coaching staff has the utmost, confidence in him moving forward. You know what I mean? To get not to be the long-term solution, but to be that stopgap guy, and Taylor Heineke in spot duty, we see what he can do. I just can't see him with his frame being even anything else but a third or second quarterback on your roster. He's not going to hold up in this league. You know what I mean? It's not going to happen. You know what I mean? And we've seen enough of the quarterbacks getting hurt in Washington. You know what I mean?
All things considered, if you can, if you factor in the money, what you got to give up for the future, whatever, what would be who would you like to see on the center week 1?
If it was up to me,
and being as patient as possible, realistically, who would you like to see under center?
I say you got to make the run in Matt Stafford.
Yeah.
You got to. For them numbers, you get Matt Stafford, you give up a first, this year's first, one of our thirds in the first next year. You get him in the building, you resign him, you resign him to 2 more years on top of the 2 he already got, kick him another 5, 10 on top of that just to show him that you appreciate him. You know what I mean?
Right.
But you don't go overboard. You lock him up for until he's 37. You know what I mean? And then see what happens after that. That's best case scenario for me because we played him this year. We played him the past couple years.
Right.
That arm is like that. He's just, he's a victim of circumstance. And the guy's a warrior. That's best case scenario. I think the realistic picture for me is like we talked about before, you bring some guys in the camp. You bring a Tyrod Taylor in the camp. You know what I mean? You see what Tyrod got. You see what a Cam Newton has. Because everybody raves about, how Taylor Heineke knows this offense and how Kyle Allen knew this offense and how Alex Smith worked with Turner and this system. Who knows this offense better than Cam?
Right.
Now the question is, does Cam still have the arm? You don't know that unless you bring him into camp. Because I'm of the opinion that he wasn't given an adequate opportunity to show what he had as far as the arm is concerned in New England. None of your receivers are getting any separation in New England.
No.
So, all his passes are going to look pretty bad.
Yeah, very mixed bag for him. He had, what was that, game 2 or game 3, he threw for over 400 yards or something, and you thought things were going somewhere, and then teams adjusted, and it just went off the tracks for him. But I'm with you. I think, obviously Watson would be magical, but we already did the thing where we gave up 3 number ones, and
what's the point of you trading for Watson and you putting Watson in the same situation that he's running from now? A team with no future. What's the point?
Exactly. So what areas, like I said, it could be units, position group, cap situation, average age. You just mentioned earlier we could have a very young team next year. Front office.
I think they said when free agency starts, and I think Ryan Kerrigan and another player comes off of our roster officially, I think we'll be like top 5. It might be top 3 youngest teams in the league.
Got you. So what do you think could be the least of our worries, and we could go into next season considering it one of our strengths?
To be honest with you, I honestly believe it. Outside of the defensive line, there's no need to talk about what we already know. Because once Matt Ioannidis comes back, I think that's going to be the best unit in football. Hands down.
I forgot.
Everybody was looking at that Tampa Bay game, not to get off topic. Only thing I kept looking at that playoff game, I said, if Matt Ioannidis was healthy, Tom Brady would have somebody in his face up that middle, because that's what he does. He's a stud out of Temple, man. That brother, he comes up that gut, and you put in that rotation, we already know what that is. But you look at, like I said, man, if you re-sign Brandon Sheriff, I think that offensive line has the potential to be a pretty good unit. Because if we locked up Chase Roullier. Chase Roullier is at the least a top 10 center in this league. I think top 5. You know what I mean? I think we found our swing tackle in Lucas. You know what I mean? I think we found that. And if you can address left tackle in the draft, and I think if, far as just off of potential, I think Sadiq Charles is going to be he has the potential to be one of the best guards in this league. Because, that young dude, now he's only played a couple snaps.
Right.
But looking at how he played at LSU, you know what I'm saying, with his low center of gravity, because he's not a big, tall guy. He's a perfect guard, and he's strong. Man, you ever seen that dude calf?
Yeah.
Man, that's a guard all day. You know what I mean? And the couple snaps he did play, he looked pretty good. He was getting off the ball. You know what I mean? So that unit has the potential to be good. But I look at our running backs. Hey, man, tell me tell me a running back duo that the 1-2 we got don't stand up against.
You talking about and McKissick being the second one, or
McKissick and Gibson?
And Gibson, yeah. Especially
Barber's good for what he's for. I don't think we didn't even give Barber the opportunity to give us more than what he maybe could have.
Yeah, they didn't do a whole lot with him in between the 20s.
Yeah, because we ain't have to.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I think that boy Gibson got a position to be special. You know what I mean?
I'm excited about him next year. Like you said, with no camp and the offseason being what it was, he's still
this is first year playing full-time running back.
Right, coming. Might need to get him away from that 24 number when they thought they were going to use him.
We'll see. We'll
differently.
What happens.
And going, and like you said, he was still coming out of that hybrid role that he was doing at Memphis and whatnot. But I like what I saw from him.
I know you noticed it. A couple of his runs, you be like, why did he do that? Like he might have cut or did. You're like, why did he? I'm like, well, he just learned how to play the position.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I'll be like, why he tripping over his blocker's heel? You know what I mean? Little stuff. And you saw it as the year went on, all that stuff started to, you ain't see it as much.
Right.
So Randy Jordan doing his thing.
He started coming up out of the tackles and, getting up off the ground and walking back like a running back. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Early in the year, he still looked like a
slot wide receiver.
I was about to say a Percy Harvin type mismatch dude. And
exactly.
But you started to see him later on in the season. He had the body language of a running back.
And he was able to adapt to the injuries too later in the season. If you notice, he changed his running style, but he was still effective. He wasn't his full complement of abilities, but he was able to adjust, them last couple of games into the playoffs, to keep himself on the field. And that's what you want for your young players. You don't want your guys to get a little nicked up and then they, saying, no, we playing for something now in DC. Ain't no more getting your vacation plans early, last couple of games of the season. No, we playing for something. So tape it up and let's go.
Yes, sir. Free agency goals. What's yours? And I'm looking at, you mentioned linebacker. I mean, Bud Dupree is out there coming from a great organization like the Steelers. That's something attractive. And then I was looking. We were, like you said, we weren't too great. I thought I had it written down somewhere. I thought I had our defense. I know we allowed over 112 yards per game on the ground, but
I think a lot of that with them yards on the ground is one thing. You got a bunch of defensive players playing a new defense. People lose that. That was their first year in this defense, and it was a different defense. We went from a 3-4 to a 4-3, and right. in the defense we're playing now, those linebackers gotta not only be sideline to sideline, but they gotta feel. You know what I mean? They got to be precise in where they're going and go. So I think a lot of the issues we're having, and it was kind of like a game here, a game there, a game here that you will see. We'll lock it up. We'll lock the run game up, and then those games we was having all them sacks. So, but when you playing teams like the Rams killed us because they every play looked the same. Whenever whenever your defense is indecisive, you know what I mean? You're going to have those big running games like that. Or you play a Tom Brady where, you got that threat and your safeties are playing 20, 30 yards deep. So I think that's a product of that. And, as far as the free agency is concerned, I'm not the big splash guy no more, man, being a Washington football team guy no more. I don't want those big splash 35-year-old, $20 million guys no more, man.
I'm with you.
I'm kind of looking to see what shakes out. All these teams that got all this money is going to scoop all these guys up. So you got to see what's left. I think our main focus need to be locking up the guys we got. Brandon Sheriff, Kevin Pierre-Louis, who played some good ball for us, you know what I mean, Ronald Darby. Let's lock these guys up. You know what I'm saying? Show other teams around the league what type of franchise we are now. You know what I'm saying? You come here, we're going to take care of you if you produce. You know what I mean? But I mean, wide receiver is a major need. I think we need a veteran guy there. I don't think we go in and spending more than the 15 average for a top wide receiver. And I don't think we need a top wide receiver. I think a Kourey Davis would be perfect in this offense.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I think we need a solid number 2. You know what I'm saying? The Allen Robinsons of the world and all them guys, I'm cool on that.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I am. Like, I don't feel like we need to really reach for anything. Like, if it's nothing that's really favorable to us, just pass on it and see, like you said, see what shakes out in the end. Try to make that work. See what happens out of the draft. With the wide receiving,
you got to think too, Wood. The clock was sped up on this team. You know what I'm saying? Not all by our own doing. Our division stunk last year. So it kind of sped the clock up on the expectations of everybody. Don't forget, we were supposed to be going into the season playing a lot of young guys and seeing what we had with no offseason or nothing. So you still got a lot of young guys on this roster, especially at wide receiver. You got a Kelvin Harmon coming back from injury. Before he got hurt, was showing us a lot of good ball. Yeah. And every press conference that, the wide receivers come up, you hear Ron Rivera bring up Kelvin Harmon's getting healthier. Kelvin Harmon's working off on the side, looking good. I'm liking what I'm seeing. The same thing about my guy from Liberty. You know what I'm saying? You got to think, this was pretty much a redshirt year for him. He didn't have no training camp. He had the concussion injury early in the Giants game that set him down for, I think, at least 4 to 5 weeks. And then when he came back, I think he had a hamstring. So this pretty much has been a redshirt year for him, But you keep hearing these names brought up every time the wide receiver position comes up outside of Terry. You're like, we got some guys, but we just haven't had a chance to play them, So does the coaching staff look at that as, we don't need to go out there and break the bank at wide receiver. We might need to bring in a solid veteran, bring in a solid veteran to show these guys how to work. You know what I mean? That's why I said the free agents that's out there now, they're there for a reason. They want that big deal. Right. I want the guys that's going to get cut. I want the guys that's going to be cap hit casualties.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because they're the ones that they might see it coming, but they might not be ready for it. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure they're going to be prepared for it, but those are the guys I want to look at, because those are your 1-year deal guys. And for a young team, that's your plug your guy, plug your 1-year deals in. It's not going to broker at your future. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's my approach.
Like you said, it was Galladay out there, Godwin is out there, Allen Robinson II is out there.
Them guys trying to get paid.
Yeah. Fuller is kind of an interesting guy because he might not be a guy that can command a whole lot of money, and he can stretch the field a little bit. He doesn't, not a whole.
Isn't he coming off suspension?
Probably.
So them numbers might be right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Why not bring him in the camp?
Yeah, I'm just looking at him. Like I said, he might not be able to command all that type of money, and speed is always good.
You got to think it's the culture aspect of it too, though.
Exactly. And so that's with him. He's kind of, I don't know. It just seemed to be something hanging over him, especially the Notre Dame guy.
Yeah, I mean, and don't get me wrong, Terry McLaurin is that take the top off guy.
Right.
But we just been having to have Terry be the everything guy.
Yeah.
So now I'm just throwing this out here. What if AJ Green get cut?
I was gonna mention. I was thinking of asking you about you mentioned veteran guy like 2 or 3 times. I was gonna ask.
This is AJ Green first season coming back from injury, so he's working his way back. If I'm not mistaken, he stayed healthy for 16 games, correct?
Yeah.
So what if a guy like AJ Green get cut?
I think he's free to walk. He was on a franchise this year.
He got tagged, right?
Yeah, he got tagged. So he's one of the names that's out there.
Hey, if he's still out there, bring AJ Green in here on a 1-year deal, or 1 year with a 2 year with a 1 year option. You know what I'm saying? Where we not locked, we not married to him, but for 1 year. Let AJ Green come here and show these boys how to work. The younger ones, anyway.
Do you think that Sims is a guy who could gain some kind of consistency and not, take 2 or 3 games off to, to have a 90-yard day again?
Who's that?
Sims. Cam.
Cam Sims, man. That's it. Cam is one of them guys. Is the most he may be one of the most talented guys in the room, but I'm not sure how much he really. I don't even know how to say it because he wouldn't make it where he is now that the guy didn't know or didn't love football. Case in point, what game was it? Was it the I can't remember what game was it. He catches the ball on the side and going across the middle of the field. Instead of keeping going running to the power line, he has the angle on everybody. He cuts up the field, get tackled. Little stuff like that. He does little stuff like that all the time. So I'm like, what is it with him? You know what I mean? He has the potential, but I mean, I'm like this, man. Is Cam Sims going to be better than that wide receiver we pick in the 3rd or 4th round? Because Cam Sims is a free agent.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? He's a free agent this year. Is Cam Sims going to be better than that 3rd or 4th round wide receiver we pick out of a deep wide receiver class? Or is Cam Sims going to be better than that veteran that we're going to bring in on that 1-year deal? You know what I'm saying? Is Cam Sims, did he take this opportunity and solidify himself as a number 2? You know what I'm saying? I don't think so.
I'm with you.
Now, after everything shakes out, do you bring a Cam Sims to camp? Absolutely. But you give Cam opportunity to take that weird shit, that weird stuff he be doing on the field somewhere else. You know what I mean? Because it just don't make sense to some of the stuff he be doing.
Yeah. Like you said, though, I think, and I think that was a great statement, is that it is a chance for the team to come back as a team that players want to go to, like it was in the 80s, early 90s. Like you said, the last 15 years, 20 years, like you said, you had those guys come there for their last bag and get on out. Deion
Smiths of the world, Deion
and Hainsworth. He wasn't quite at the end, but he got there and it was the end. But yeah, you just want to. Even this year, with the way that they handled old school off the edge, Kerrigan,
perfect example.
They still did right by the guy.
Yeah, I got a funny feeling. Because I think Kerrigan made a statement in his final press conference that he wanted to go somewhere and play. In so many words, he wanted to go somewhere and be a starter. You know what I mean? He wanted to play significant minutes. Where is he going to go and do that at?
Yeah, that's
where does Ryan Kerrigan go and start right now in this league?
Yeah, that's going to be tough. What I saw out there.
Even Cincinnati got some young edge rushers.
Yeah. So
I'm like, oh, okay, bro. You gonna go somewhere and you gonna end up right in another rotation.
Yeah, and it's just one of those situations. It's all of these sports is about.
All the vets do it.
Yeah.
Look at Jason Witten.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So I guess it's just a process of an older player what they got to go through.
Right. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It happens to all of this stuff is about timing. Unfortunately, we couldn't get it all together when he was still, producing at a high level. And now we got a bunch of young boys around him, and it's just tough, to work him in. But, if he can get somewhere, it'd be great for him. Because, I think between him, I hated what happened with Big Boy Silverback before
Trent.
Before Trent moved on. But between those two,
they've been the staples of this franchise for a decade.
Yeah, that's our premier draft picks that we've had as an organization. It could be whatever happens with the relationship with Sheriff. If they do retain him. But other than that, man, we don't have.
I think Ryan Kerrigan, man, when it's also in his career, I think Ryan Kerrigan is going to be one of them guys that's going to be perfect in the booth at Redskins games, calling Redskin games. You know, get D'Angelo Hall up out of there. You know what I'm saying? I think Ryan Kerrigan gonna be good at the booth. He one of them guys. You know, one of them Ring of Honor guys. You know what I mean?
Got you. Only a couple more questions here, man. Your draft outlook. Like you said, I don't think we had to take a reach on anything, man. It could be best player available, or like you said, we do have key areas that definitely. Anytime if you can get a young safety, young linebacker, you know them boys that I saw what's his name, David or whatever, down the Tampa Bay linebacker.
Yeah. I think he's like 34. I think let me look it up. I think he's in his mid-30s. So if he's looking at he's going to want a 3-4 year deal that's going to take him to his 37, 38. Don't get me wrong, the boys like that. But do you spend that bread? It's not what we're going to spend, it's what the competition has. You look at teams like the Colts, they got a lot of money. The Jets are we going to compete with that for a player that's in his mid-30s? That's why I keep going back to we're ahead of schedule. Everybody got to chill. You know what I mean? Right. Chill. We're ahead of schedule. That's great, but we're not in no position. Where we are right now is where you lock up the guys that have showed you something.
Gotcha.
You start building your team. You know what I mean? This is where we are right now. Now, if it's a guy out there that you look at like this is a game changer guy, he's gonna be great for our organization. He fits our culture. You go get him. You know what I mean? But it comes to a point where you be like, okay, we're not gonna mortgage our future on one player. You know what I mean? So, I mean, do we go out and sign guys like that? The better question is, do guys like that want to come here?
Exactly. Your draft approach. I'll just say I saw a couple weeks ago what's McShay's first mock. He had us taking the quarterback from North Dakota State, and then
he ain't gonna be there.
Probably not. And then Mel Kiper had us taking a wide receiver from out of Florida.
Now, I do like that. Look, that young guy, I watched the highlights from the Pro Bowl the past couple of days. You know what I mean? And the one-on-ones. That boy got some Tyreek Hill juice in him.
Oh, really?
I ain't saying, but I'm saying.
Is his name
Some I can't pronounce because I didn't really follow. I never follow Florida football. You know what I mean? Because Florida always they talk about how good they are, but every time I see them on national TV, they get spanked. So I don't ever follow them. But hey, he got some Tyreek Hill juice. Check. Go to YouTube and check out those Senior Bowl one-on-ones.
Okay.
DBs versus wide receivers. You'll see him. I said that boy got some Tyreek Hill juice. He dropped a lot of balls though. But but he was by himself when he dropped them. Put it that way.
Okay.
So I don't know. But as far as the draft is concerned, I like Ron Rivera's approach, as far as not just the draft but players in general. Ron Rivera has been saying since he got here, it's all about player flexibility, and we saw that on the field. We saw that with a Cameron Curl. We saw that with those offensive linemen being interchangeable parts. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? We saw that with, Montez Sweat and Chase Young flipping sides. You know what I'm saying? Doing little stuff like that. You saw that with Kendall Fuller dropping back, playing safety on some downs. It's all about position flex. So when it comes those first couple rounds, you're taking the best available talent. But you got to look at it for like Khaleke Hudson, for example. Khaleke Hudson can rush to be a pass rusher in spot duty. He's one of our best players on special team. And given the opportunity, I think Khaleke Hudson has the skill set and the speed to be a cover linebacker.
Okay.
Coming off the edge, with running with those tight ends, running with those running backs on those wheel routes. I think he has because look, coming out of college, the question was, is Khaleke Hudson a linebacker or is he a safety?
Right.
Remember? So position flex. You know what I mean? You look for raw talent. You look for are they going to fit the culture, and then you go from there. That's how you have a full complete draft. But in those earlier rounds, if everything stays put, and where we are with that 19th pick, it's kind of you gotta see where you are once you get there.
Yeah, a lot.
Because somebody's going to fall. So somebody's going to fall. Somebody's going to get picked out of place. But I don't see a Mac Jones in our future. I just don't see it. The quarterback from Alabama, I don't see that.
They got him going. Piper has him going to New England. The dude's name is Kadarius Toney.
Hey, check him out. The boy got some Tyreek Hill juice, man. I see a look. You know how you can look at a guy like we was talking about Khaleke Hudson a couple weeks ago. I was like, I see he got a little Fletcher in him. You know what I mean?
Right.
When he make that contact, he got bad intentions. When I see that guy come off the ball, I'm like, well, the boy got some Tyreek Hill juice in him. That might not be a bad look right there.
I'm gonna look after this.
Yeah, man. So, but in the later rounds, you look at player flexibility and fit and mindset and culture. You know what I mean? That's why it's kind of can't really say. I don't never look at a draft and approach like, okay, we got to get that guy, No, I mean, that's not how it works. You pick, you see what you got, and you pick the best fit. You always want guys that can do multiple things, especially young guys. That's how you build a team that, a lot of people look at New England as the model. I always look at Seattle as the model, especially as far as their defense concerned. Definitely. When they had Thomas, Chancellor, Sherman, all these guys, Wagner, all these guys were like interchangeable parts. No matter what, everybody was on everything. It's like it was one unit. You know what I mean? That's what I look at when I look at a defense, what I want my defense to be. You know what I mean? And Chancellor coming in the box, Thomas coming in the box, Wagner dropping back. You know what I mean? No matter what side, the corner's locking everything up. You know what I mean? So that's how I look at it.
I thought that was promising in the defense that we saw in Carolina most years, and then everything that they were able to do with Kuechly. If you could get him a Kuechly in there, then we rolling.
Hard to find though, brother.
They just ain't hanging on.
Yes, sir.
Hanging on trees, but
yeah, he was a grown man. That boy was a grown man in Boston at Boston College. So
exactly.
They don't grow on trees, but they out there. You just gotta find them. And man, I think a lot of people don't focus on the coaching aspect, the position coaching aspect. These guys have to be coached up, man. I'm telling you, training camp, OTAs, all that time is important. Because I'm telling you, like I said earlier, all these guys are talented. You just gotta, what I'm saying? We play football. The best football we probably ever played was the games when we weren't thinking. When we were just doing, these guys just do the same thing. They're just doing that at a whole nother level. You know what I'm saying? You got to coach these guys up and have these guys playing free, and don't overcoach them. Don't be like our last defensive coordinator, had these guys out on the field doing algebra. Look, every pre-snap, everybody like this.
Right.
You know what I mean? We didn't see that this year.
Nah.
So that's my approach. But before we get out of here, I wanted to talk about, like, when I said the players getting cut. One player, I read an article today. I was at work reading. I read the article while I was at work. And what's his name? The tight end from Minnesota. Big dude. Vet.
Rudolph.
He is unhappy in Minnesota. He said he is not going to restructure his contract. He said the team can do what they got to do. That's the type of player I want here, a player that gets cut. We don't necessarily need a number one receiver. We might need a tight end that has number one pedigree that can help Logan Thomas along with being a number one. And he's big and he's strong. He's going to help in the run game. When we have two tight ends on the field, defense don't know if we run or passing because both of these guys can run. And with Turner's offense, it's not a lot of balls going all the way down the field, so he's going to get his touches. but he's going to have to block too. You know, and he's good at both. And I think we can get him at a cheap number. Those are the type of players I look for. I don't want all the big flashy stuff. I want those guys that you plug in and then 2-3 games in the season, you hear Troy Aikman talking about some, he got cut from such and such, and now he's here and he's reigniting his career. You know what I mean? Like he's never seen him play before. You know what I mean? Those type of guys you got to look out for.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
Last question. I think my wife just got back home. Like you said, we came up and took the division. Is somebody different every year? Looking ahead to next season, if we do get a solid draft, we have a solution at quarterback. Maybe we don't have Stafford.
Just make a decision.
Yeah.
Because going back to Alex Smith ain't all necessarily the end of the world for one more year. It's not.
What team do you think will be the biggest threat to to challenge us for the division?
Well, first of all, I think that Philly has a lot of problems.
Definitely.
Philly's cap situation is awful. I checked this morning. I think, don't quote me on this because the cap isn't really set yet, but Philly is like in a negative 60 millions. And they have a lot of bad contracts. They have contracts where you stuck with them. Even if you get rid of the guys, you're still stuck with them. So Philly's in a bad spot as far as that's concerned. And they're 1 year behind everybody else.
Right.
As far as coaching, the new coaching staff, that's going to take time. So Philly's not in the running, in my opinion, this year. The Giants, they have a little bit of some issues with their cap where they may have to let some key pieces go, especially if they're looking to keep Williams, their defensive lineman, defensive lineman. But I think the Giants have a coaching staff that the players believe in. I think the Giants feel slighted at how the season ended this year. They felt like they should have been playing Tampa Bay. So I think the Giants have something to play for. Does Saquon Barkley come back? Does he look like Saquon Barkley of old? We don't know. Does he have an offensive line to run behind? We don't know. Does does the quarterback take another step? We don't know. But the one thing we do know, that defense is going to play hard no matter who they got out there.
Right.
You know what I mean? So they got a shot. And as far as Dallas got some cap concerns too. They don't have a lot of money. Do they let their veteran left tackle go? Does that leave a big hole in their offense? Do they re-sign? Do they franchise Dak? Does Dak hold out? Does Dak sign a contract? Is Dak going to be healthy? Is he going to be ready for the season? I think he will. And he's going to have. What do they do on their defense? They don't have the money to go sign like Simmons, the guy from the safety from Denver, like everybody was talking about again early in the season. They don't have the money. So they just gonna have to ride. I know they got a new defense coordinator, but that goes back to this ain't Madden. You can't just pick a new defense and just rock with it. This takes time for these guys to study and learn a new system,
right.
And you got to see who's going to fit with it. That's why I think we are in a great position. All of our position coaches are back. You know what I mean? We are an organization that we actually have one leader. Yeah, we got a new general manager, new vice president. All them guys answer to one guy. It's one guy making decisions. You know what I mean? Everybody, he just brought some guys in to collect information for him, to bring to him, and they go over everything. But he's going to make the final decision.
Right.
That's what you want. You don't want to be in Dallas with Jerry Jones and, that situation. That's for them to deal with. You know what I mean? You don't want to be in Philly right now where they dealing with a team that won a Super Bowl a couple years ago, and they're dealing with the ramifications of all those bad contracts. The Giants, just got to see with them. They don't have a lot of money, but I think they got a decent team. It all predicated on the growth of their young quarterback. So I think we got a shot to take it again.
Yeah, the Giants just did really well, in my opinion. It was a couple games. They got up into the 30s when they needed to. The defense did things. The wide receiving core showed up. I think that was our that was part of our. Well, I mean, I guess it was twofold.
They got a lot of smart players on defense.
Yeah.
They got a lot of smart guys on defense. What's the guy? I think it's Ryan, the safety. I think he's a safety they got.
Yeah. I can't remember his name.
I can't remember his name, but I think Cal Allen was playing quarterback when we played him. I think the other game, Alex Smith might have been playing too, but he was locking us up. He was hiding coverages. Peppers is flying around. They got a good defense. It's just on that offensive side, that offensive line. I like our chances when it comes to that offensive line they got.
Right.
So I think going into this season, man, if we make some tough decisions, and if we get the right guys in here, I think we got a shot, man. And you got Jonathan Allen. I think next year, I think he's not up for a contract this year. He's up for a contract the following year. I don't think we have no big time guys that's up. Their contracts are up at the end of this year. I don't think so. I think we're good this year. And then all the guys we getting back. Like I said, man, you talk to me, I'm an Iron guy. I'm a defensive front guy, but you throw him in that rotation with Big Settle and Payne, them guys, man. Hey, man, they gonna handle business, and everybody else behind them pick up the pieces. You know what I mean?
And like you said, I forgot the slot dude who's coming back that you mentioned, Harmon.
Yeah, Harmon can be outside. He just, he's one of them guys. He's a. I'm gonna meet you at the summit to go get that ball. He ain't gonna get much. His route running has gotten a lot better, from when he was drafted till before he got hurt. So he's a beast. If you get a chance, go look back at his college tape. The boy is a beast. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he did big numbers at NC State.
Yes, sir. So we'll see what we got. Do we need more pieces? Yes. Do we break the bank? No. I think we take the same approach. Take the guys that gave you 1 year's deal to pay them because we got the money. Go ahead and pay them. Everybody say we should have paid Brandon Sheriff. Yes, we should have, but that was before Ron got here. You know what I'm saying? Ron got here, the man was up for a contract. He wanted to see what was going on. Man said in his exit presser, he said he loves the coach. He loves playing here. He wanted his career here. Make it happen. Lock him up.
Definitely. So I'm with you, man. I think I'm thinking about it earlier. Like you said, you don't have to take too many chances. Do factor in the guys that are coming back. Draft smart. It's going to be a challenge for the front office and the scouts, to assess, because a lot of these, some of these, like that quarterback from North Dakota State, I think they only played one game.
One game.
So it's hard to be all in on him.
He needs to go to a situation where he needs to go to a place like Carolina where he can sit behind a Teddy Bridgewater, where they can, you can't throw these. I think that's for pretty much this whole draft class, because a lot of these guys ain't play a lot of ball this year.
Yeah. Definitely.
You know what I mean? So you can't just take these guys and throw them out there, because we don't know what the offseason is going to look like for our training camp and stuff this year. Definitely. So I don't think you can throw none of these guys out there to the wolves. You'd be a bad, organization, coaching staff, if that's your plan, to bring a guy from North Dakota State and throw him out there and starting at quarterback.
Yeah, that's not going to work out. But yeah, I think that it's tough. It's going to be tough on the scouting department. Trying to see what they see on camera, getting to these pro days, how those play out. It's going to be a challenge. So, like you said, just don't reach on too much anything. Let's try to stay healthy next year. Get the guys back that we lost. You got Ioannidis and whatnot. And just take a step forward, as an organization. Yeah,
yep. And it might be time to move on from some guys. Like, you see what Bryce Love has. If it ain't there, it's time to move on. You see what Reuben Foster has. If it ain't there, it's time to move on. I think Reuben Foster might be a free agent.
I think he is.
Yeah, he's a free agent, so he might not be back anyway. But I think like Bryce Love's under contract. See what he got, man. If it ain't there, it's time to move on. Because I'm tired of being so hopeful in the off season to see that's number 20 from Stanford. You know what I mean? I'm ready to move on from it.
He's been away from the game a long time now.
And the man's a doctor. I think he's got like his doctorate. I mean, like the man can go and be. I don't know if he want to work in a hospital right now, but I think he's like, I think he's a doctor or something.
Wow.
Or he's on his way to being a doctor.
Right.
I'm like, bro, go get that bread somewhere else, man. I mean, I know it's the game you love, but man, come on, you're a doctor. You know what your knee all about.
Right.
That's
kind of like, was it the brother? Was he drafted by Miami or by the Giants?
The guy from Florida State.
Yeah.
What was he?
Myron Rowe?
Yeah. What was he? What is it called?
Neurologist?
He's smart as I don't know what.
Yeah, I thought it was a neurologist.
No, is he? Yeah. I saw him on the news last month talking about the COVID stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm like, bro, come on now. You taking that roster spot for one of these guys, you know what I'm saying, that really, this is all they got. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
It's all good though.
All right.
They thought they good at everything.
Right. Hey, well, look, we stayed on here an hour and some change, man. Nobody really, a couple people came in and out and whatnot, but like I said, man, I really try not to pay too much attention to the views. I just do my content, and I appreciate your time. Like I said, man, I thought it was, I enjoyed the season, man. Now I'm out of market, so I have to be creative, to watch the games. I had gotten off of Facebook, but around, man, I had to go on and get back on. There's a cat named Earl Davis that lives somewhere in Virginia. He puts his screen up on in one of the in the burgundy and gold, I think it is, fan group. And that's how I was able to watch the games that weren't televised in my region for like the last 6 or 7 weeks until they did that flex game. Of course, we had the holiday game. What was that? Thanksgiving, like that. But I was excited, man. Like I told you, and I think I did an end of the season wrap up last year, and like I said, I just really wanted a leader to evolve, man. And like you said, the dude over my shoulder, he delivered in that area. It's a little unfortunate to not have that stability at the quarterback position, but like you said, the way that the rest of the team is set up right now, we don't have to do anything.
Yeah. The one thing we didn't address, I forgot about it. I wrote it in my notes. Landon Collins.
I was going to bring that up.
I think Landon Collins got opportunity, man, to really put up some big numbers this year because of Cameron Curl. I think Landon Collins, make him do what he's good at. Put him in the box. Bring him, put him down there and let him run with some running backs and let him blitz that quarterback, man.
What happened? Was he injured at the end of the year?
He got hurt. I think it was the Cleveland game. I think he got hurt. It might have been either it was in mid-season he got hurt.
Yeah, because I didn't hear him down the stretch at all. And
and Cameron Curl came in there and made him an afterthought.
Exactly.
But that goes back to that position flex. I can see a Cameron Curl, see him on the field with two corners, you know what I'm saying, and having 3-4 safeties out there, and having one linebacker out there. It's position flex. I mean, there's so much stuff Del Rio can do with that defense, man. I'm gonna leave it at that. There's so much stuff Del Rio can do with that defense, man. With the guys that we have, But Wood, I enjoyed it, man. Like I said, I enjoy your content, man. Like you said, it ain't all about the numbers. You keep doing what you're doing, brother. And like you said, you don't do it for that. You do it for the love of, what I'm saying, of creating what you can create. I personally enjoy it. So keep doing what you're doing.
I appreciate it. I'm gonna keep in touch, man, and as some different things unfold, we'll get back on here and do like a state of the WFT, and we'll get into next year.
No doubt. Just hit me up and we'll set it up, brother.
All right, appreciate you, man. Have a good night.
All right, peace.
All right. like I said, I know the fan base isn't is not one of the largest fan bases in the league with some of the, well, we out there. But he asked me about doing a a end of the season thing, and I got caught up in some other stuff and didn't get around to it. And when he asked me about it, I was like, yeah, let's do it. And especially if you're willing to come on and add your thing, add your input to it, let's do it. So I'm gonna get ready to get on off of here. I'm not even gonna jump into none of the other stuff. I didn't do my recap of part 7. I think it was episode 7 of the Your Honor. And it was kind of a slow episode in a way, but of course it sets it up. And then last week they didn't even do part 8. I think they did a marathon to set up the last 3 episodes. And I'm just kind of don't know where I am with it, with it. The last few episodes kind of coming together around, what kind of murder, what kind of capital murder or murder one case can you knock out in a couple of episodes? And, so the pacing of the show really started to become a concern to me getting into this episode. And with it only being a 1-season show, I kind of was on my heels a little bit. But anyway, man, let me get on off of here. About to go get. Hopefully, any Washington football team fans fall through, over the next few weeks and whatnot. Hopefully it's something on here that you thought was, wasn't too bad, or is, some kind of useful, something to be excited about and just in following the team. So let me get on out of here. Again, my name is Wood. Pay me no mind, sports and entertainment. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great.
Check me, check the hoe. Gotta make sure every nigga in the set follow code. Stand 10 toes, check my goals, count my roll. Wrist on froze, yeah. Don't check me, check the hoe. Gotta make sure every nigga in the set follow code. I jumped off the porch and I started a wave. Y'all niggas was stuck in the fish tank. When motherfuckers see me, it's nothing but love. The real niggas know I got big rank. The reefer is potent, my flow is the coldest. They can't wait till I get a big break. Told the bitch I'm a killer, she said I'm a minister. Bitch made me feel like Lorenz Tate. I'm keeping it humble without all the stunting. I'm moving more solid than most niggas. Ain't no type of morals or no type of honor, and that be my problem with most niggas. When I'm with the mafia, we get it poppin'. I'm popping my collar like those niggas. Ain't looking for cod, don't want no tilapia when I tell niggas I'm going fishing. When I'm back on the hoe, gotta reel it in. And I ain't a nigga, I'm feeling in. Good spirits, bad vibes, number 5, you know that I'm working 10 to 10. I'ma go with the flow, but I'm sinister. Somebody should call up the minister. Hop off the flight, pull up on Venice. You know the sack on me like Billy McGinnis. Fuck niggas hate when I say I'm the illest. It ain't shit to talk about, you know my premise. You know I'm a dog, you know I go hard, but deep in your